Imagine this. You walk into a crowded room, everyone laughing, glasses clinking, conversations overlapping like waves in a storm. Yet instead of feeling warmth, you feel a strange heaviness pressing down on your chest. You wonder, why does everyone else seem so alive here, while you feel like an outsider observing a play you were never cast in? You're intelligent, perceptive, maybe even successful, but the idea of fitting in feels hollow. Why is it that the smarter you are, the less you crave these circles of chatter? Why does your mind, sharp and restless, recoil from the rituals of small talk that others seem to enjoy? Could it be that your intelligence has become a prison, keeping you awake in a world that finds comfort in sleep? And if that's true, then what does it say about the very nature of human connection itself? This is where the real question begins. Beneath your discomfort with socializing lies something far older than personality. It is a silent law of the psyche. Jung described individuation as the soul's demand to separate from the crowd, to peel away masks and hear the voice of the unconscious. When your mind sharpens, the rituals of small talk lose their flavor. What once passed for connection now feels like noise, a repetition of patterns designed more to reassure than to reveal. Intelligence amplifies perception, and perception exposes hollowness. You start noticing the subtle hunger behind every smile, the way conversations orbit around approval, the invisible bargaining for belonging. Once seen, it cannot be unseen. You realize that much of what is called community is not truth but camouflage, a survival instinct dressed as friendship. Spiritual teachers from the Buddha to Eckhart Tolle echo the same truth. Attachment binds, silence liberates. Most people cling to chatter because silence confronts them with themselves. But for you, silence follows everywhere, even in a crowded room. That mirror cannot be escaped. So the deeper question emerges. Is your distance from others a flaw? Or is it an invitation to see what most will spend a lifetime avoiding? The consequences of this hidden mechanism are subtle yet devastating. You might think avoiding shallow gatherings only protects your energy, but in truth, it reshapes the trajectory of your entire life. Every choice you make, where to work, whom to trust, how to spend your evenings, is quietly filtered through this invisible lens. Cognitive science shows that the brain is wired to conserve energy by following patterns. Social rituals exploit this. Gossip, validation, comparison. When you step out of that rhythm, you disrupt not only the group's comfort, but the very code of conformity society relies on. That is why intelligent detachment often triggers suspicion. People don't fear your silence. They fear the reflection it forces upon them. Culture reinforces the illusion that constant connection equals value. From childhood you are trained, smile, share, belong. Yet beneath that conditioning runs the quiet current of alienation. If you never question it, you live enslaved to norms invisible as air. And here lies the danger. The longer you ignore this truth, the deeper you sink into a double life. Outwardly compliant, inwardly suffocated. To awaken means risking exile. To sleep means erasing yourself. Which cost are you really willing to pay? To break this invisible cage, you must first dare to question the script handed to you since childhood. What if belonging is not the highest good? What if solitude is not weakness, but the soil where clarity grows? The act of rebellion begins in silence. Not the silence of withdrawal, but the silence that listens, beneath the noise and refuses to be hypnotized by it. History is full of such rebels. Buddha walked away from palaces and feasts to sit under a tree. Nietzsche shattered moral consensus to carve new values. Even Nikola Tesla, whose mind birthed revolutions, preferred the company of ideas to the applause of men. They were not running away from people. They were running toward a truth too bright for crowds to bear. The paradox is this: when you stop needing the crowd, you paradoxically gain the ability to meet others more deeply. No longer trapped in roles, you see through them. No longer thirsty for approval, you give without demand. True rebellion is not isolation. It is freedom from the unconscious contracts that suffocate both you and those around you. You might fear this path because it looks lonely. Yet loneliness is only the shadow of transformation. Once you cross it, solitude becomes power, and connection, when it happens, is no longer dependency, but choice. So the rebellion is not against people, it is against illusion. And the moment you sense that, you begin to taste a freedom most never dare to imagine. Here is the truth that shatters everything. The reason you withdraw is not because you lack something, but because you sense that nothing outside can complete you. What you mistake for antisocial behavior is often the beginning of awakening. The Buddha taught that all suffering arises from clinging to approval, to roles, to the illusion of permanence. Intelligent solitude is the refusal to keep feeding illusions that cannot last. Psychology echoes this. Jung spoke of the self, the center beyond ego, revealed only when you step outside the chorus of masks. When you stop chasing affirmation, the unconscious opens its gates. At first it feels like emptiness, but soon you realize emptiness is simply space for truth, for creativity, for being. This is the paradox most never see. By daring to be alone, you unlock the deepest form of connection, not with fleeting personalities, but with the essence of existence itself. When you no longer need the crowd, you meet others as whole, not halves searching for completion. So the ultimate realization is this: your discomfort with social rituals was never a flaw. It was the soul's alarm clock, ringing to wake you from the dream of conformity. And once you wake, you cannot return to sleep. Now the question turns back to you. Will you silence the alarm and drift with the masses? Or will you embrace the solitude that reveals who you truly are?